Welcome back. Yes, indeed, we're joined by His Excellency Sani, Governor of Kaduna State. Good morning, Your Excellency, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, yes, lots of scenarios have played out there. The Vice President's visit conveying the message from the President. But commiserations to yourself and the people of Kaduna State and those who've lost their loved ones in that unfortunate incident. But how are you going on now with, because you spoke about relief materials. What's going on? Has that kicked on? How are you coordinating everything at the moment?
Thank you very much again for having me. I think the situation is calm now because Kaduna government was very proactive in reacting to the situation. Of course, it was an unfortunate incident where we lost at the moment about 86 people, 76 in the hospital, one was lost. Now we have lost about 87 people as we're speaking. The community leaders, the religious leaders have been very cooperative with the government because we called for immediate proper investigation into the incident, and we are happy Mr. President responded positively by initiating the investigation. And from my conversation with Mr. President, he assured me that he will try to conclude this investigation as soon as possible so that those culpable in this very unfortunate incident will be dealt decisively, because from our understanding, these situations happened in the past and nothing was done. But in this government, under Tinubu, this is the first time we're experiencing this unfortunate incident. And I have no doubt Mr. President will certainly conduct a thorough investigation, and I have no doubt in my mind those that were found culpable will be dealt with. And that is number one. Number two, Mr. President also responded to my own call for compensation to the families of those that lost their lives and those in the hospital. Yesterday, Mr. Vice President made it clear. It was when we met with him, along the traditional and religious leaders and leaders of the community. He assured us that federal government will also rebuild the entire community, pay compensation to them, build hospitals, schools to the community. So what I can say here is that we as government of Kaduna State will continue to follow up on this investigation and ensure that everything is done within a time frame. But on our part, the Kaduna State government have been supporting the families with a lot of palliatives. We've done that from the first day, the incident. And those in the hospital, Kaduna State government are looking after them, paying their medical bills. And those that lost their parents completely, because we have a family that of about 8, both the father and the mother were killed. Now about 7 children are in the hospitals. So we will try as much as possible to look after them. And the Kaduna State government assured the community that will not let anyone. We'll make sure that we look after them. The responsibility of our government is to protect the lives and properties of the citizens of Kaduna State. And as the leader of the state, I will try to fight for them and ensure that justice is done at the end of the day.
Okay, well, it's part of why I think everybody wants to see, because yes, you've spoken about the fact that government says they will investigate and ensure that, look, if anything went wrong, whoever might have been culpable, they need to just face the music, because the ultimate intention is to ensure that these kind of things don't happen again, not just in Kaduna, but anywhere else in the country, because you can't afford to lose lives as a mistake or as an error. So that's not what we want. But at the moment, and it's also good to hear you say that compensation is in the works, relief materials, because people's lives can't be on hold, especially in this kind of case. So that is something that needs to be addressed. But about that plan by the government to rebuild the town, do we have timelines? Because you know how bureaucracy can be, and before you know it takes forever. What is happening about that? Do you have information as to timelines, or what do you expect from government, and then how state government can also come in and make sure it happens quicker than before?
Yeah, we're having conversation between myself and the Vice President. And Mr. President is the one in charge of a particular program of the federal government that is Blacko Initiative. The program is supposed to start in Sokoto in the next 1 month. But because of this incident, the program is starting in Kaduna. So the whole community will be reviewed. And from Mr. Vice President yesterday, he assured me, even this morning I called him, he assured me that the rebuilding of the community will start in the next 3 to 4 weeks maximum. But I won't be surprised if the whole rebuilding starts in the next 2 weeks, thereabout. And of course, we're optimistic. But the most important thing, like I said, we will not slow down in insisting that this investigation will be concluded within a time frame, like I said. Because when the unfortunate incident happened, for me, it's something that was shocking and very serious tragedy because the military have done this in the past. And of course, nothing really happened. But today, they have honored and they have taken responsibility. And for me, it's a way forward. So having taken responsibility, then we will have to fast track the investigation and ensure that those involved are dealt with decisively. That is, for me, is key and it's very important. That will make the community to also be a bit calm and satisfied if justice is done at the end of the day. That is what they have been talking about when I visited the families. And of course, as we're speaking, I'm talking to the families of the victims directly. Even the children that lost their parents, I'm talking with them directly. So I know their feelings. I know what they are thinking about. They want government to ensure that they've done thorough investigation into this incident and those involved are dealt with decisively. For me, it's something that is important. So call for justice is key in this situation. And of course, Kaduna State government, like I said, we are providing them with all the necessary support because they are our citizens. And like I said, it's our responsibility to ensure that we look after them, we give them shelter, we supported them, we are doing that.
Your Excellency, indeed, it's a shocking and an unfortunate incident. Yes, indeed, that the army came up to own up to it is something that has brought some measure of relief around the country. But when this kind of things happen, there is that element of some groups of people that might want to take advantage of it to cause further divisions. But is there a way that this is being looked at to ensure that instead of bringing about divisions amongst the people, it would help to unify the people more?
I think, I don't know which, can you be specific about the kind of division you're thinking about so that I can be able to answer it properly? Is it, because yesterday someone was talking about a religious issues here. So can you be specific so that I can be able to answer it?
Indeed, you've already gone to that part about where some people might want to say is religious or is ethnic cleansing or whatever it is. So that let's see, because communication at this point in time in situations like this is really vital. So what kind of communication will you be putting out there to ensure that there's no division amongst the people while the investigations are going on? And even as the government has said, those who are found culpable will be punished at the end of the day.
So let me make it clear to you. In Kaduna State, as we are speaking, we don't have any religious or ethnic differences. Like I said, at the beginning, of course, a lot of people were, particularly the religious merchants and ethnic merchants. I'm not surprised if some of them at the beginning decided to make this issue look like it is a religious issue. But as far as I'm concerned, as a governor of Kaduna State, yesterday when the Vice President came in and his delegation, they saw what happened at our chamber. Both the Khan leader, Reverend Hayab, and Jamaat Nasser Islam leader in Kaduna State, Professor Shafiu, they came there with some numbers of imams and pastors and reverends to the government house. In Kaduna, today, we are not talking about any religious differences or ethnic differences. Of course, we are one people. And I made it clear. we are going to be fair to everyone. And let me even make it clear to you that even the Christian community under the leadership of the current chairman came out openly and sympathized and commiserated with the people of Tudunbiri in the local government. So in Kaduna, we were working together. We have interreligious harmony. They came together as a team to go to the site. Even the Khan were there, the Jene were there. So we're working as one family. The issue of Southern Kaduna, Northern Kaduna is history. We work together as one family. There's no any religious differences. And for those who initially wanted to change the narrative, we have been able to tackle them. We are no more talking about any affiliation in Kaduna State. Of course, we're talking about development. Development is about unity. It's about justice. It's about equality. And here in Kaduna, that is the key. So I'm happy both Muslim and Christian came together when this incident happened and look at the issue critically. We're talking about humanity here. And for me, is the key. So I want to thank the religious leaders, both the DNI and the CAN, for coming together to work together to ensure that the families of this unfortunate incident are looked into and they give them comfort. So that is for me the key. But some of the few elements, like I said, who are ethnic religious marches, we will not stop. And of course, but we will not listen to them. We will continue to ignore them.
Well, Your Excellency, good morning, and our commiserations with you and the people of Kaduna State. And just to quickly follow up with Nyota's question about the religious angle to it, though you may have, clarified some things, but beyond the view that is held back home, this view is also held in the international community. And I'd like to quote briefly from the UN Special Envoy on the prevention of genocide, Ms. Nderitu. Following the attack in Nasarawa State that led to the killing of 37 people, 27 of them being cattle herders just this year, she says, just to quote a few of her words, these dynamics of targeting communities along identity lines, if unaddressed, risk further fueling intercommunal tensions, recruitment by armed groups, and retaliatory attacks. I wonder if this is part of your concern at the State Security Council in Kaduna State, that this is the approach of the military in fighting, in the counterterrorism war. And are you worried also that this could fuel further radicalism and, divide the communities in Kaduna State along ethnic lines?
And of course, thank you very much. I think our situation in Kaduna is completely different from that of other states. Of course, since I was elected on the 29th of May, in May 29, what we try to do in Kaduna is to bring everyone together, to work together as one family, and that is what we are benefiting from now. That is the reason why the community leaders of Tudunbiri in the local government, even yesterday, made it clear that even within those that were killed by the fortunate incident, about 3 of them were Christians. And of course, they live together as one family, irrespective of any religious affiliation. So, of course, something like this is really very worrisome. Is when you find a community that is vulnerable or a state that is vulnerable, that can lead to communal or religious differences, will lead to a lot of agitations, and some people can take advantage, like I said, the religious merchants and create a different narrative. But in Kaduna, I can say clearly that everyone empathizes with the victims, irrespective of religious or ethnic affiliation. And of course, I agree with you, and the United Nations reports that in some communities or states that are vulnerable, people can cash into this and create a very wrong narrative and create more division within the community and religious leaders as well as ethnic leaders. But I'm happy in Kaduna this is not happening because everyone here is involved in governance. Everyone is a stakeholder. Everyone is consulted. So we work as a team. And that is the reason why, since the incident happened, nobody in the community has made any statement trying to look at any angle, whether it's religious or ethnic angle. So I'm happy in Kaduna we are not thinking about that. We are working as one family, and I'm happy about that. So there's no any escalation of any tension. What they are asking for, what they can, and the JNI is justice. They want thorough investigation. They want those culpable to be dealt with. Government must take an action so that this kind of incident will not happen again anywhere in Nigeria. And we want to set Kaduna as an example, fighting for justice in this very unfortunate incident, so that the military will be careful. The military will also be a bit cautious in the way they handle this issue. We will continue to support the security agencies. We know here in Kaduna, particularly along the southern Kaduna Aziz and Beningwari, as well as Ikabe Aziz, lost a lot of military personnel also in the course of their fight against terrorism. That is the reason why, as a governor, I told our people to be cautious, to be calm, because the military have also made some sacrifices. And most of their personnel were killed. Only about 3 weeks ago, there was an ambush in Beningwari where about 7 military personnel were killed by terrorists. So I can say that though we want a thorough investigation, we want those involved in this incident to be able to avoid further occurrence of this kind of incident. But I will also call on our people to continue to support the military personnel, continue to support the security personnel, so that we can jointly end this problem of insecurity in our state and our country.
You know, sir, we hope that your optimism produces results in the coming days, particularly with regards to relations between ethnic groups in Kaduna State. And we can't say it enough that the ultimate is a deterrence about these kind of occurrences in the future, which is why I'm going to ask this next question, Your Excellency. The President, through the Vice President, has provided assurances that whoever is found culpable will be punished. But if we went by, you know, past accidental bombings ran in Borno, Niger State, Nasarawa State, if investigations were ever conducted, there was no outcome. Nothing was made public. So why should we take seriously assurances this time that an independent inquiry will be conducted, and of course, whatever the outcome of the inquiry will be made public? Why should we take these assurances seriously this time?
Yeah, I'm having the full assurance from Mr. President, because the President is someone that when this incident happened, myself and him spoke about 3 to 4 times. And of course, he's very worried. The Vice President is also worried and concerned about the incident. And of course, that is the reason why even the military, the Chief of Army Staff came out openly and on up and took responsibility to what happened. And for me, it's a step forward. In the past, neither the military, neither the Army nor the Air Force were able to take responsibility. When this incident happened, let me make it clear to you. First, I called the Chief of Defense Staff, and he assured me I should give him a few hours to investigate. I called the Chief of the Air Staff immediately, and he told me clearly that he did his investigation. The Nigerian Air Force were not involved in that bomb attack. Then I called the Chief of Army Staff, and before I even spoke with the Chief of Army Staff, the Chief of Defense Staff called me back and honored that it was the Army that were involved in the unfortunate incident. So for me, we're making progress because they can honor both the service. I called them and they all explained to me that if they were involved, they will tell me who was involved. So that is a step forward. Taking responsibility for me is a major step forward. In the past, no one took responsibility. And I called Mr. President, he assured me there will be thorough investigation and those culpable will be dealt with decisively. For me, it's another step in the right direction. So for me, we're making progress. What happened in the past has happened, and we also have to continue to agitate for justice for those affected in the past. But as we're speaking here in Kaduna, As a governor, I will follow up. I will insist to make sure that the federal government investigation is done within a time frame, so the justice will be done, because the people cannot continue to wait. What they are asking is justice. When I met them in the hospital, even on their hospital bed yesterday, they were calling for justice. And I think, for me, is the key to ending this unfortunate incident.
Well, Your Excellency, those questions are quite valid, given that what some of us, what my colleague would say from time to time, you know what someone will do by what he has done before. So if we've had this kind of misgivings before, perhaps it's a reason to have to receive your own assurances over and over again, so that those who are watching, perhaps even some of the victims, will be assured that indeed you are quite determined. I can't even begin to imagine how you are, you know, taking this as a person. Yes, you are governor of Kaduna State, but you are also an individual. You are a father, so you must have some feelings about this whole thing. While dealing with your own emotions, you also have to deal with the issue of governance around this. So, again, commiserations to you and your people. Now, we've been receiving, of course, a lot of reactions have been coming from here and there. One of the issues that some people are already reacting to is that of the number of people who are involved in this. Already we are aware that as at yesterday, the death toll has risen to 127. And Amnesty International is saying that they are compiling a list of the deceased, and that they will publish once they can confirm names. And they are also expecting that the government of Kaduna State will give them some authentic list. So can you, if you don't mind, confirm to us the number of people who have been directly affected, either the number of the deceased, if you have the figures, and the number of those who are wounded?
Yeah, like I said, for me, because probably I'm the only person dealing with the families directly, the parents, the victims, those in the hospital, and those that are displaced there in the community, because they're talking to me directly. I'm not sure if there's any organization or group that have brought the entire community together and sat with them, as well as their leaders or community leaders. But as a government, it's my responsibility. I don't think there's anyone that is more concerned than me sitting here, who is elected to protect the lives and properties of my citizens. And of course, because of that, I will not talk along. I don't believe that I should be able to talk about a figure that is not confirmed. But what is confirmed, as we are speaking right now, by the community, by the families that are visited directly, is that we've lost 87 persons right now. And out of the 87 persons, 86 were killed at the beginning. We took 76 to the hospital. Out of the 76, one died in the hospital. Of course, about 4 of them have been going through operation surgery in the Borodic hospital, and one in the 44 hospital. And when I visited them yesterday, even those that are going through operation and surgeries, they are recovering. And I visited them, I spoke with them, with their families. So I think as of today, my figure is showing that we've lost about 86, now 87 yesterday. And of course, we will try as much as possible to ensure that those in the hospital will not lose anyone. We have qualified doctors. We are giving them all the necessary medical attention. And of course, we are even bringing specialists to also support them. We are paying for their hospital bills. I am optimistic that by the grace of God, we are not going to lose another life in the hospital.
Well, we say we say amen to that, Your Excellency. Well, there's something that you mentioned in response to Chamberlain's question earlier about the federal government's Polaco initiative. 3 times we've heard the federal government talk about it. Once, and 2 of those times have had to do with such a situation as has happened here in Kaduna State. And we also understand that not too long ago, the federal government approved 50 billion naira for the Polaco initiative, and that a total of 1,000 houses will be constructed in 7 states, according to the federal government. The Vice President's office made that information available. Can you tell us what other things are involved in this Pulaku initiative in a way that will help to stem the tide of this banditry and this criminality in the Northwest?
Okay, thank you very much. At the beginning, the Pulaku initiative was about the Northwest only. But what we sat down with the Vice President as the chairman of the NEC, we made some observation, and because he's someone who is very considerate about and concerned about the situation generally, he also decided to include 2 more states from the Middle Belt. That is, apart from Kaduna, Sani, Sokoto, Kebbi, in the Northwest, 5 states minus Kano and Jigawa, because Kano and Jigawa are not involved. But other 5 states from the Northwest would be involved in the Pulaku initiative. Then in the Middle Belt, 2 states were considered to replace Kano and Jigawa. The 2 states in the Middle Belt, that is North Central Zone, we have Niger State and Benue State. So Benue State and Niger State have their own share of banditry attacks. So that is the reason why 2 states from the Northwest were removed, and Niger and Benue State were included. So at the moment, it's 7 states, 5 from the Northwest and 2 from the North Central. That is what is happening at the moment. And initially, the Pulaku initiative were put into the plan was to start in Sokoto State. But now it has changed because of the unfortunate incident that have obstructing the initiative and start in Kaduna State. That is 1,000 houses will be built in Kaduna State. The northern part of Kaduna would have 500 houses. And of course, we have chosen Kudunbiri to be the first community to benefit from this initiative. Of course, Kudunbiri in the local government is part of the northern part of Kaduna. Then we are going to build another 500 houses simultaneously in the southern part of Kaduna. Because here in Kaduna, I made it clear that we need to build 500 in northern part of Kaduna and 500 houses in southern part of Kaduna. Because both sides were also involved in a series of banditry attacks in the recent past. So that is the reason why we decided to do 500 in northern part, 500 in southern part, because we believe both parts of Kaduna State deserved houses to be built for the displaced families.
Indeed, Your Excellency. Pardon me, Ayo. Perhaps we could reflect yet again on why this happened. And right after, earlier in the week, the military put out some statements. And the first, coming from the general officer commanding 1 division, who said that, it was a routine mission against terrorists, but inadvertently it affected members of the community. And the army since apologized. But another that came from the defense headquarters was to the effect that terrorists often deliberately embed themselves within civilian population. Your Excellency, how are you reconciling these 2 statements from the Nigerian military explaining what happened? And can you tell us if indeed Igabi local government area is a flashpoint or an area known for terrorist operations?
And I think the first statement by the Chief of Army Staff, General Labaja, I think that's the one I taken serious, because the second statement by the PRO of the Nigerian Army, I think I've not that in my mind. I'm trying to reach out to the Chief of Army Staff for him to see that they have to withdraw that statement, because we're not talking about, like I said earlier, we are going to continue to support the Army and the military generally, as well as the other security agencies in fight against terrorism and insurgency in Kaduna State. But What happened in Tudunburi, in the local government, something that is unfortunate, is avoidable, like I said, because but the fact that the chief of army staff have taken responsibility, he made it clear to all that it's unfortunate. He said the chief of defense have took responsibility, and that is the reason why the community are calm. But to say that some of the terrorists in the community is something that needs verification. You know, I think it's a very careless statement when I had it yesterday. Because if you visit the hospital and see what's happening as we're speaking, you will condemn statement like this. So I don't want to emphasize on this statement. I believe the statement of the Chief of Army Staff, the statement of Mr. President, the statement of Mr. Vice President, and that of the Minister of Defense and the NSA is the one I'm taking more seriously, because I think these are the statements that are responsible, and they show a lot of empathy. And for me, it's the time to show empathy. It's not the time to be making excuses. For me, is what is key here, because the families, we are trying to calm them down. We are trying to make them understand that this situation, the Kaduna government will fight for justice. So, but making excuses before the investigation is concluded, I think is unnecessary. Let's allow the federal government to investigate this thoroughly, and let's know the outcome of the investigation as soon as possible. And if some people are found culpable, they must be dealt with decisively. That, for me, is what we should be agitating. Is what we should be talking about at this critical time.
You know, you spoke about the Polaco initiative. Is it just going to be houses, or what exactly should we expect from alongside that? Can you hear me, Excellency? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not sure you heard that because I lost communication myself. I was asking Your Excellency if the Polaco initiative is just going to be about houses, or is it a total rebuild of communities and lifestyle and such other facilities? Could you check if you're muted? That we can't hear you from here.
Okay.
Okay. Hello? Yes, it's back now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So what I'm saying, in essence, is it's not about building houses only. The Polaco initiative is about building community. The whole community will be built, and that comprises building houses, building hospitals, building schools, and also providing the farmers there with adequate land for farming. And the federal government will also support the farmers within the community to do their farming. So it's like building the entire community. They're going to build infrastructure there, providing houses, providing hospitals, schools, all the basic infrastructure, water, electricity. They are all going to be involved. So that is the initiative of Polaco initiative. And that's why I'm saying that in Kaduna, 500 houses will be built in northern part of Kaduna. We are going to select the areas in northern part of Kaduna, but like I said, Tudunburi will be the first community to benefit, not only in Kaduna, but the whole of Nigeria.
I know that I know that the governors work with the security agencies to ensure they have proper coordination. We also know, of course, the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. So, but in this particular matter, when you said you were shocked about it, some people will be wondering, wait a minute, does that mean that there isn't any form of communication that goes on before this kind of scenario happens, as between yourself and the security agencies? Because, I mean, you are the chief security officer in the state.
No, but I want you to understand. Are you talking about before the operation by the army?
Before the operation, yes.
But let me make it clear. Because you see, like I said, if you can recall vividly, I was in the National Assembly, particularly in the Senate. And when I was in the Senate, remember, I was the senator that sponsored the creation of state police in Nigeria. Why did I do that? Because here, if you look at the Constitution of Nigeria, governors have no powers to give orders, instruction to the army or to the police or to even the DSS. Yes, as the chief officer of the state, we will continue to support the Nigerian Army, the Air Force, the DSS, and all the security agencies in our state. We are doing that. We are providing them with all the necessary support, technology, resources, and everything for them to work with the government and ensuring that we end the insecurity. But in terms of giving directives to the Nigerian Army or the Nigerian police force or even the DSS, it is not the responsibility of the sector by our constitution as of today. I don't know whether the constitution will be amended in the near future, whether the agitation for the creation of state police will now be initiated by the 10th Senate, because when I was in the Senate, I sponsored the creation of the state police. It was passed at the level of the Senate, but we lost it at the level of the conference committee between the House of Reps and the Senate. So that was what happened. So for me, it's something that is constitutional. I only heard about the operation when the incident happened, because it was my commissioner of internal security that called me and said, look, this is what's happening at the moment. So within 2 minutes, I reached out to the chief of defense staff, General Christopher Musa, he's from Kaduna State. I talked to him because we're working closely with the CDS and even the DSS in Kaduna, as well as the office of the NSA in Abuja, to look at the non-kinetic approach to this problem of insecurity. So we're making progress. When this thing happened, that's why I said I was shocked, because I was not aware of any operation. Of course, even only a few weeks ago, if you can remember, I was able to convince the airline to start flying from Kaduna. ERP started and other airlines started, and because at the beginning there were some security report that the general area of the airport is not safe. But from my own intelligence, I gathered through the DSS and other security agencies, we were completely assured that that area is safe. And that is the reason why airlines started flying. And Tudunburi community is not far from the Kaduna International Airport. So for me, the insinuation that the place is not safe is what I don't understand. Of course, the community gathered because of Maulud celebration. And that kind of gathering only happens once in a year. So probably because the military saw a gathering without adequate intelligence, they strike at them. But on the normal day, the villagers are doing their normal activities. They don't have to gather together. They don't have to work as together. So that's the reason why, for me, it's about taking responsibility. Maybe that is the reason why the Chief Army Staff took responsibility, because he was the GOC War Mechanized Division here in Kaduna for years before he became the Chief of Army Staff. So he's aware of the situation, and I'm sure some members of the Army, without probably adequate intelligence report, they decided to strike on the villagers and killed people in the community. So for me, it's something that everyone must be worried about. Everyone must also be concerned. And I have no doubt in my mind is lack of intelligence that, because the Air Force, what I spoke with them, they were also not aware of the operation. So it's not me alone, because Air Force are not also aware. They are not involved. So what I'm going to call is the military generally to work in synergy. They must work together as a team, because most of the general area in the last few months, I was made to understand that the Nigerian Air Force are also working. The Nigerian Army are working along the axis of Beningwali, Sultan Kaduna, and I've insisted whenever we do our security council meeting in Kaduna, because we do security council meeting in Kaduna virtually every 2 weeks. And whenever we do the meeting, the GOC attend the meeting, even the head of the Air Force here will not attend the meeting, the Navy, the DSS, the police. So we always insist that we must work as a team share intelligence so that we don't make mistakes. So when this unfortunate incident happened, Chief of the year staff was also aware, too close of myself. So that is what really happened.
All right, Your Excellency Sani, Governor of Kaduna State, thank you very much indeed for your time here today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Also, clearly, I mean, it's important that coordination, sharing intelligence, it is key here. So I think lots of people already have an idea, an inkling of what to expect, or probably some elements of what may feature in that investigation here, because he said he spoke to the Air Force. Air Force, a little surprised at the moment. So we'll come back to some of these matters and talk about the NYC, as a matter of fact, in just a moment. Don't go away.